The secret to staying focused under pressure. That's what we're going to talk about on today's episode of Real Estate Marketing and Coffee. Welcome. I hope that you're having a wonderful day wherever you're tuning into us from. Be sure to say hello in the comments if you're watching us on Facebook or LinkedIn, maybe even YouTube. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, well, you know what to do. You can connect with us on social and have a conversation. And if this is your first time joining, we want to welcome you to the show. We go live every Monday morning at 8 a.m. right here on social media. So Facebook, LinkedIn, and then we will share this back over to YouTube and the podcast. And if you don't know who we are, Amanda, who the heck are we besides crazy for being up early on a Monday morning?
Yeah, well, Ed, you are a rock star video coach, specifically focusing on real estate agents, and so anyone looking to create live shows or anything, definitely chat with Ed. He's your man. And I'm Amanda Condyles. I am the director of client care services at Closer Pros. And so I help agents get referral and repeat business by nurturing their past clients and sphere of influence. So we've kind of combined our areas of expertise to bring you guys this Monday show.
I love it. I love it. Yes, this is the power of using your devices, your technology,
Yeah.
the live streaming option that you have available on pretty much every network that you're using, and being able to get your voice out there and to get you seen. And today's topic is going to be tying back to last week's episode, which really was an episode. We'll get into that here in a few minutes. But if you didn't actually hear last week's episode, I currently, at the time of this recording, have it on our new landing page for the show. So if you go to the link, it's just edtroxell.com/live show. That is in the description for you. Go to that later, not now, because obviously you're here and you want to hang out with us. But you can go there and it's under recommended episode. The reason we're talking about this, well, I'll ask you here in a second, Amanda, why we're talking about this. But the reason why we wanted to carry on the conversation to this episode was because it's a great teachable moment for all of us when we face pressure, when we're under that pressure to perform, whether it's a live video, whether it's a podcast episode, a Zoom meeting, in-person networking event, or you're on stage speaking to a crowd. We all have these things that will happen or could happen, and we have to understand how to face it under pressure. So that's really why we want to talk about it on this episode. And why does it tie back to last week? Amanda, what kind of craziness happened last week?
Well, for me, it just flowed, honestly. I think the viewers probably might not even remember or recognize, but if you watched last week's episode in its entirety, you'll notice at one point Ed had to step away. And then there was a little bit of dead space on air where I didn't even know if we were live. And then Ed came back on and had to handle an emergency. And so instantly we were doing a live show and it went from 2 hosts to 1. And it was all kinds of fun because I had the wrong list of our bullet points. And so really it was it was a great opportunity to really test out what we're talking about today of figuring out how to still perform and still show up and still engage, even if all the pieces aren't in play exactly as you wanted them to be.
Yes. So it's performing under pressure. And what is amazing, and the reason why we are here today talking about it, is last week, after all the craziness on my end died down, I went back to watch. Here's a key tip for all of you trying to get better at video is I went back and I watched our episode and I watched what happened. How did I perform? How did Amanda perform? Where's the improvements that we could have made, right? And also I wanted to make sure that the episode was still decent enough to keep up because of the emergency that I had to go through. And so it's up, it's still there. And it blew me away. It blew me away because when I watched it, in my head, I'm thinking, oh man, you probably saw people coming into the room. You probably heard things. Amanda, I put her on the spot because Amanda, that was literally the first time you've had to be live on air by yourself, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've done a few lives like inside of Facebook groups before, and then
Okay.
I've gone live before in a little go-kart with my sister. But other than that, I've never really gone live solo where like I'm in charge.
Yeah, especially when you had 2 people and then you went down to 1.
Yeah.
Just feel uh,
Totally.
yeah, so I went through and I rewatched the episode, and you couldn't really tell. Like Amanda said, you couldn't tell what was going on. You, as the viewer slash listener, you might have not even noticed anything if I didn't say something. And Amanda held it together. She handled it really well. And yes, there was that little bit of dead space on air, but it was fine. And it was a great opportunity for us to speak on, which, in fact, that's what we talked about after I watched the episode. I immediately called Amanda and said, Amanda, you did an amazing job. Like, and Amanda, tell everyone kind of what you were thinking and feeling prior to me telling you that, because I think that's a really important part, because a lot of people have that self-doubt. And when it comes to being on video or just being live, they're, they didn't think they did a good job. All those things kind of run through your head. And so can you share with them just a little bit around what you were thinking before I told
Yeah.
you were
I
doing
don't
it?
remember the specifics, but I'm sure I'm obviously a little critical of myself. Just in the sense that like I'm a communication major. I like to deliver in that way. And so, and I do it best when I'm semi-planned, right? Like that's when I show up great, when like I know what we're talking about and I can kind of just show up as me. And so being thrown into it forced me into a realm of like, okay, we just need to take control of the situation. And so I did, right?
Yeah.
We rolled with it. And so I think afterwards I was likely feeling, you know what, that wasn't the best episode, wasn't the best ending, but hey, we got it done. We got the message out. And that's what's important, right? And I'm a big believer in done is better than perfect, right?
Yes.
Because you can build upon done, finished, you can build upon, but perfect, you might not ever reach it.
Yeah.
Actually, you'll never reach it. And so if you focus on that, it'll never get out. But it was great to hear because two things. I think everyone who's likely afraid to go live on video or share, communicate, stand up in front of anyone of any size group, and share their heart and their feedback or whatever. I think it's important to note that you're always going to view it very differently than everyone else experiences it. And you're always going to be harder on yourself, right? So in your head, you're going to hold yourself to like the highest of high standards because that's, you're capable of it, which is great. And recognize that, you should always be a duck, right? Just swimming along, you might be paddling under the water ferociously, but nobody's going to see it. And so I think that's what I was most proud of in watching that is nobody saw and I don't know that I felt panic, but nobody
Right.
saw my like, okay, we're figuring this out on the fly. We
Yes.
just kind of rolled right into it.
Yes. And so that's the importance of being able to go back and
Mhm.
watch. If you're doing a video or some kind of recording, go back and watch it,
Yeah,
because that's going to help you and your brain understand where your strengths and your opportunities are. And so that's
totally.
really important when you're performing under pressure, to make sure that afterwards, if possible,
Mhm.
you take some time to look at what happened. How
Well, I
did
think
things
this goes
unfold?
for any kind of messaging, right? Like if you
Mhm.
send a voicemail
Yeah.
or if you record a video to send to your entire database or really whatever you do. Like I realized really early on, I talk really fast. Like that is
Mm.
just my natural state. And so I have to be really intentional about slowing down so that one of two things don't happen. People don't find that I'm anxious because this is just my normal, but this might be the first time they're hearing from me. And so it comes off very like, ha, or that I don't talk too fast that people can't understand me. And so, in listening back to voicemails and stuff that I've recorded for client care services, that helps me. Okay, how will the normal person hear this message? Because I don't
Okay.
hear it when I deliver it, but I hear it when I rewatch it. And it makes me think of how football players go back and rewatch their film immediately because even if they win, they want to see what they did well, they want to see what they did poorly on so that they know where they need to focus on that week. And I think that's a great way to really think about going live on air or really anything and performing under pressure is going back and listening or rewatching to figure out, did I say 18,000
Right.
times? My habit is I talk with my hands, as you all can see. So did I karate chop the whole time and people are only watching me do this, And you don't know that till you see it, right?
Yeah. I'm like, are you doing Vogue? Is that what we're doing
Yeah,
this morning?
doing all
Yes.
kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And so part of what this, well, so the secret of performing under pressure is planning ahead. And the way you can do that is a few things that we're going to cover here right now. The first one is planning out what you're going to talk about. So for Amanda and I, we plan out our episodes prior to going live.
Mhm.
So every time we do a recording here, it's an episode. And so we plan it out ahead of time and we review our notes. What's the topic? What are our talking points?
Mhm.
This is what helps us perform under pressure. Because when
Yeah.
you hit that go live button, and how many of you can relate? If you're watching us, let us know in the comments. But how many of you can relate? When you hit that go live button, the pressure is on. You are live to your audience. Anything can happen. And so how are you going to overcome that pressure? How are you going to deal with it? You're going to be prepared. You're going to know your topic. You're going to know your 3 talking points, and you're going to show up, deliver, and engage.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy, right?
Well, and I think
So,
this is what I shared with you when you called me is
yeah,
it was a good reminder for me that in anything, right? Whether you're first string, second string, you're the first actor in place for the play, whatever it is, maybe you're the vice president. And, if you're that second string, always be prepared and preparing as if you're the first string. And
ooh,
not to say, you're first string, I'm second string here, but
yeah,
just in
no,
general, when it's your team, right? And so I view the quarterbacks on a football team, all of them are a team. They're the quarterback team. But every week they show up as if, even the fifth string, right? He shows up if he's there. Some don't have a fifth string, but if they do, they show up as if, let's assume all 3 quarterbacks got a knee injury, God forbid, and I need to play. They show up, they're prepared, they're dressed, they've got their stuff, right? So that should coach call on them, they don't have to go home and get their gear or say no. And so that preparation allows for that. So that, like what if Ed's power just completely went out and I'm here like, okay, hey, right? Maybe I don't have the list in front of me, whatever it is. The show must go on, life and things must still happen in
yeah,
business. And so you can't just, okay, first string quarterback's out, game's over, postponed, canceled, like you got to be ready to just do it. And I think that boils simply down to preparation. And when you're prepared, my voice is trying to go, when you're prepared, it's a lot easier to roll into that. Like I've had to deliver speeches before where I'm like, I need to take a water.
yeah, no, it's good. So, yes, I mean, the same thing happens. I still remember when I worked at Apple, and it was probably the first real day that I was on the floor, and they were like on the sales floor, and 10 minutes into a workshop, they're like, so the trainer can't do this because they have to go do something else. You're going to do this.
Surprise. It's you.
Literally in front of, and at the time it was in a very crowded
This is your
Apple store.
first day?
First day on the
Oh
floor,
my
like by myself, just being out there. And they're like, so this workshop started about 10 minutes ago and it's on this topic. I can't even remember what the topic was. And it was full. There was at least 10 business owners there, mixed in with a couple, people just trying to learn their devices. But most of them were business owners. And I was sweating bullets. I was like,
Okay, we're
I,
doing it.
I can't do this. Like, what are you talking about? I haven't even looked at the information. Like, literally, they said, go, you're fine. You'll do it. And I just made it work. And it turned out great.
Totally.
It was awesome. And it obviously empowered me to keep moving forward with it because it was a killer presentation. But it was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
A lot, especially because it was in person and I could see, people, and I had to show them a screen and teach them all these things that I really wasn't prepared. I didn't prepare myself prior to for that.
Totally. Well, and that creates a whole realm of anxiety. You made me think of a story as you were telling me about your Apple. I once had to deliver an entire class to real estate agents. Now, I've never been a practicing agent. I've had my license for 5 years, but I have never practiced. I've facilitated in helping and buying and selling, but I have never helped someone solo buy or sell.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to teach a class to real estate agents. Well, I know real estate, right? So I was like, I got this. Literally didn't know I was going to be walking into the class starting and have to open the binder and just go with it. Like, never seen the slides, never seen the material, didn't even know what topic I was talking on. So like zero preparation, you just roll with it, right? And so I was like, I've got the material here. So I'll just read it. I'll talk from my heart. I'll ask questions, I'll make it work. And, it's a lot of pressure, right? These real estate agents are new and they've joined this real estate brokerage for training. And here I am like, hi, I'm the training, so unprepared, which wasn't my fault, right? I was actually coming in to save the day, but it just, a lot of pressure. And I think those moments are really great because they teach you that prepared or unprepared, you can still do it. You can still show up, you can still deliver, and you can still engage. And even if you don't have preparation, right? Even if you don't have like notes, you can still show up and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be real honest with you guys. I didn't know I was doing this today either, but I still want to be of value to you. So what can I like? There's still a way to show up, deliver, and engage if you aren't able to prepare, I guess is my point.
Oh, so many good things out of that. Yes. Oh, did you guys all catch that? So, yes. One, Amanda, I love that you share the show up, deliver, engage with people because that's like
I love
my
it. I
heart.
believe in it. It's
Yes.
easy. It's easy for me to think through.
Yes. And when it comes to the fact that you just shared in terms of the transparency, you were transparent, right? Like if you're not prepared, you're not the expert in whatever you're being thrown into, have that transparency with your audience right up front so that you're not trying to fake it till the time runs out.
Yeah.
Like, have the transparency. They're going to respect you more for that. And it reminds me of last week, I was on this amazing networking call. Shout out to Kat. And in there, she had us in breakout rooms on Zoom. And one of the questions was, what can you teach us in 2 minutes? Now, that's putting you on the spot because you didn't know this ahead of time. You get put into a room. What are you going to teach us in 2 minutes? Go. And so everyone would go around the room and do that. So the challenge for some was, I'm not prepared. I don't have my slides. I don't have, my book, my cards, whatever it is that they were trying to get. And that was a concern. And so then it was brought up that the whole point of the exercise was to remind you that you're the expert and that you have something you can teach on and to not rely always on those other things.
Yeah.
Like, of course, we need to have, in this case for our show, we need to have internet and a program to stream live and whatnot. But outside of that, we don't need slides. We don't.
No.
We're looking at our notes just to reference back to. But a lot of this conversation, including these stories, these are happening in the moment.
Totally.
And that is all part of being prepared. Going back to that preparation, like we said in the beginning, Amanda and I will have our episodes planned out. When I say planned out, we're planning the topic and the talking points. That's it.
Really it. Yeah.
And then what we do, and this is part of what we recommend to you as well, whether you're recording your videos or you're doing a presentation or whatever it is, you want to make sure that you talk to everyone involved prior to your start time. It's really, really important. Amanda and I do this every time before we go live, whether it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 seconds, it doesn't matter. Usually it's more than 30 seconds, but you never know. It doesn't matter. You really want to make sure that you take that time to prepare with everyone involved, not just with yourself.
Well, and I think having that time, it does a few things too. It kind of focuses, it gets us like naturally, like, first of all, we're not hitting start and then going, oh, hey, Ed, how was your weekend? Like all of that can happen, on the front end. You've already had that time to like kind of get focused, get in the mindset. You've kind of had the like energy exchange. Right now we're just here, we're ready to show up. And so when we hit live, it's like, it makes me think of like, I went to this YMCA leadership school when I was in high school, and we would always call Lombardi time like the law, right? And it was, if you're early, or if you're on time, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're in trouble. And so they would always say, be everywhere 15 minutes early, because when something's supposed to start, like think of movies. We get so mad that the movie says it's going to start at 8, and then you get there and it's like 8:35 and it's still, which some people love that. I was not one of those people. I was like, if you say 8, I want the movie to be starting at 8, right? And so that's how I view our show. And so we should be prepared, ready to roll in and hit go at 8, meaning like sit down, ready. Like, and so that's how I think about this. And that preparation is the only way you can get there.
Yes. And you bring up such a good point. So all of you who are going live or who are thinking about going live, you're going to want to listen up. I hope you turn this up a little bit. Get out your pen, get out your paper.
Everybody.
Yes.
It's been a minute. So here it is. I'm just reminding you. We have
them.
So
this is a big, big one for anyone who's going live. When I say going live, I mean you're going live on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. Pretty much every platform has live now. If you're going to go live, do not, I repeat, do not sit there and welcome people in for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do not say, welcome. We're going to wait a few more minutes for people to come in. We're going to give it a couple more minutes. No, that is going to lose people. That was something we did way back when live streaming first started. And yes, it takes a little while sometimes for the algorithm on the platforms to push your content out. That's not what you can control. What you can control is starting on time and diving right into your content, because that's what people want. And when they come, yes, and when they come across it, whether it's the live broadcast or the replay, they want to dive right in. They don't want to sit there and have you talk to all the Amandas and all the Eds.
Oh, and I'll check out. I'm like the perfect customer to prove this point, because if you start doing that, I'm like, yeah, I don't have time for this. Or if I even start watching your replay and you do this, I don't want to have to do work to scroll through and figure out when you start your content. But here's what I think you can do if you're really worried about, oh, well, I don't want anyone to miss any of my talking points. Here's what you can do. And you'll notice Ed and I do this often. We re-summarize, right? So for those of you just joining us, here's what Ed and I are talking about today, right? Yes. And then, okay, so point number 1 was this, right? So that you're able to kind of flow with the conversation from whatever. If you're joining us right now, we're 23 minutes in, right? You might have missed point 1 and be like, what the heck are we talking about? Great, we're going to summarize it. So you're going to get it, and that can help you feel prepared.
And that's why you prepare before you start your recordings, and you keep it simple, and you have your talking points so that at any point in time, you can perform under that pressure.
You just said the most brilliant thing, and it was keep it simple. And I think that is the key, because you're not trying to, like, Ed, we have, say, 5 talking points today. 5. That's all we have to remember and get out. The rest doesn't matter.
Yep.
Because we haven't planned it. We haven't mapped it. It's just organic. So our goal is to deliver 5 pieces of information, and that's it.
Yep.
And I love that. That's so simple, right? Then you don't have to worry about, oh, I didn't say it exactly this way, or I didn't tell this story with it. Like, whatever happens in the moment happens.
Yes. It keeps it super simple. And since we have 5 minutes left, why don't we jump into the recap here and just kind of summarize this. So what we're talking about today, and this is a great example to remind you all. Here's what we're talking about today. The secret to performing under pressure. The secret is preparation.
Yeah.
Not preparation H, preparation. I had to.
Key difference.
So for keeping it clean here on the end, I'll reiterate that the secret of performing under pressure and staying focused is preparation.
Yep.
Knowing your topic, knowing your talking points, talking to those involved. Amanda, what's the next one?
Oh gosh, you put me on the spot.
That's all good. That's all good. It's keeping calm under pressure.
Oh, yes. I knew that. Gosh, darn it.
That was an example of making sure to keep calm under pressure when someone calls you out real quick. And,
So good.
taking notice of the moments that are happening. So, like, Amanda and I were talking prior to the show about what we were going to talk about. And we were saying how this is a big one where you want to make sure that you're in that episode, whether you're by yourself or you're talking to someone else, or you're even, most of you are going to be by yourself listening to the comments. And when I say listening, you'll be reading the comments and you can take notes. And it's a lot of work sometimes, so don't feel like you have to do that right out of the gate. There's training around all of this, just like anything. But understand that you can pay attention to some of the comments while you're in the moment so that you can bring it into your conversation if it's relevant. So just keep that in mind. And then really understanding that life happens and you just got to keep rolling with it. Like last week, we were live. We were on the show. There was an emergency I had to take care of. And we kept rolling with it. Like Amanda kept the show going. It happens. So for those of you who are sitting there today thinking, wow, I would love to be on video, but I'm afraid the kids are going to walk in, or I don't have a quiet space, or I don't have my hair done. I don't have my makeup done. I couldn't possibly be on camera speaking about XYZ. I just can't. Whatever's going through your mind right now, I want you to write it down and change it. Change how you think, because you can, and you can't be worried about life happening because it's going to happen whether you're worried about it or not. So keep moving forward. And it ties into this part of the episode that I wanted to share with us too, is change how you think. Instead of thinking, I'm nervous, I'm afraid of what's going to happen, tell yourself, I'm excited. I get to do this.
Yeah.
Not very many people do this, and I get to do this.
That's what my, oh gosh, if I didn't have notifications, I'd show you real quick. Oh, there we go. My background. I get to, not have to, right?
Yes.
It's a perspective changer. It when you realize like there are people that don't have this opportunity and it's an opportunity.
It is.
But it's a perspective shift. And I think when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? And so naturally that perception, I just think tell yourself a different story, right? Like, what if you showing up and allowing the kids to come in was just really real and raw and authentic? And I'll tell you this, coming from a person who's highly authentic, like that's super important to me, is that people show up as themselves. That's the stuff I connect to. I connect to the real messy middle of life, like, because that's what all of our lives look like, right? Yep. My cat tries to jump up here all the time during the show, right? All the time. Literally, you'll probably see me like, and I want to be mad about it. And I'm like, whatever, I have a cat, right? Life happens. Kids come in. It's a part of who you are. And so don't be afraid to show that with people because they connect with that, right? Yeah. Like, oh, yep, this is me. Just my kids are coming in. So hope you're having a fun Monday morning too. Like, roll with it, because more often than not, the people watching you are having the same experiences. They're having Zoom meetings with their kids coming in and they can relate to that. And you being real and authentic gives them a safe space to and permission to show up the same, right?
Yes, it's so important, especially when you think about your target audience. Who is the person that you're trying to work with, and what is their background? What's their life look like? And I know that a lot of my clients are moms, and a lot of them are trying to work
Yeah,
with other moms. Well, you're all having the same experiences. You have the kids, you have the things coming and going in the house. Like
totally.
there's a lot of stuff happening. So it doesn't mean that you have to constantly have that playing in your
No,
background, but it just means that the more relatable you are and the more comfortable you are being your authentic self on video, the better, because you're going to attract as
totally.
well as repel the people that you want to
Yes.
work with
That's that's exactly
and
what I
don't want
was
to work
just
with.
thinking. If you focus on it being perfect, people who want perfection are gonna be what you attract. And if
Yes.
you just focus on being authentic, you're gonna find those people. Like, and I see this in my business, right? When I'm focused on being perfect and not making mistakes and whatever, and being scared to admit that, or, whatever, right? I attract more perfectionist type clientele,
Yeah.
which means a little bit more work, right? Because you have to constantly give updates and feedback and, versus the clientele who's like, you know what? Life happens. Like, let's just keep rolling with the punches. Like, we're going to all have
Ooh,
weeks. If that
yeah.
makes sense. Like, I want to
Yeah.
attract the people who aren't going to hold me to a standard of perfection, because I'm never going to achieve that. I want to attract the clientele who are authentic and real and who recognize that. So that if I have an off week, I have permission to have an off week, because they know I'm going to show up better next week. Right? That's
Yes.
the kind of clientele I want, because they recognize that life happens. They recognize that we're all doing this together.
Yep.
And
It's
so
so
don't be afraid
true.
to show that. That's so good.
Yes. Don't be afraid to show that. And we want to wrap it up here. So, just as a recap, a quick one for you. The secret to staying focused under pressure is really preparation
Yeah.
and making sure that you have your notes,
100%.
talk to the people involved, and understand that life's going to happen.
Mhm.
Whether you plan for it or not, it's going to happen. So don't let it hold you back. It's whatever you tell yourself up here in your head is what you're going to believe. So
Mhm.
understand that it's no longer you being nervous or fearful, it's you being excited, and
Yeah,
you get to do
totally.
this, and others are going to be watching, and they're going to be inspired by the work that you do. So
Totally.
get out there and share your voice, and like we said, show up, deliver, and engage. Anything
Absolutely.
else, Amanda?
Only thing I'll add is there's only one you. So just be you.
Cool.
Show us that, because that's what we
Yes.
want.
That is so true. So, on that note, we're going to leave you here today. We will see you back here on Monday at 8 a.m. If you need anything in the meantime, go ahead and head over to our show page at troxell.com/live show. The link is in the description, and you'll find how to connect with us as well as previous episodes. So, until next time, take care, and we'll see you next Monday.
See ya.